is essentially page to stage cosplay designs. Oh, I forgot all my props. That's okay. I'll show them off later.
I can pretend to be a prop.
There you go. So I actually brought in a few of my designs for drawing. So you start with a concept design of how to get into cosplays or pictures that you find on the internet for I want to be this person. So I introduce ourselves. I have a few of those. Yep, you guys can see later at the table. So yeah, let's go back to the beginning. Welcome, guys, to our cosplay paneling. I know what's your name? We've had a few false starts. We appreciate you guys sticking in, except for the few that need to bounce. That's okay. I am Tree from Redbank Crafting. I specify in everything, because if I don't know how to do it yet, I painstakingly try to learn how to do it, and slowly hate myself because now I have another hobby I know how to do.
She's a good jack of all trades, so if you have questions, this is a person that you'll want to ask questions to. Very good creative thinker.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, it's
to my left here.
Hello. Oh, I'm on your left. I can never tell my left from right. My name is Mink the Satyr. Yeah, the L's don't work for a dyslexic kid. They're both L.
To my left, to your right.
Okay, thank you. My name is Mink the Satyr. I am a cosplayer. I am a LARPer. I am a reenactor of medieval stuff. Those of you in the know, the SCA. I have been cosplaying for 15 years. I've been cosplaying for a while. I specialize in fiber, soft cloth, and sewing. I do a lot of leather work as well, not just sewing leather garments, but also making leather armor. And yeah, that too. That's always fun. And I do dabble in prop work and resin casting.
That's always good.
Always fun.
And to my right, your left.
Directions.
Hey guys, I'm Larcy. First of her name, Queen of the Salt, forger of unnecessarily large weapons, legendary mischief maker, and conqueror of the crunch.
Hey! She's reading the thing that she sent.
I know, she's got a whole description.
She's reading the bio that she sent.
This is my exclusive title for all of the cons that I do and present at.
Smart.
So I might as well get practice in it.
Grab yourself a seat.
My handle is Legend of Larcy, kind of like Legend of Zelda, if you guys are old school like me. I am kind of a jack of all trades, but master of none. I've dabbled in everything except leather working.
Oh, we'll get you.
Yeah.
They'll get me there.
It always gets you.
It's just expensive.
It's expensive.
It's an expensive hobby, but it's very therapeutic.
I would rather play with fake leather, aka really cheap couch vinyl.
Leather.
Yeah, kind of. It doesn't really work like leather, but I like to pretend that it does.
Has
Definitely
more
does,
stretch
but
than
okay.
leather.
Yeah.
In
Works
the
well with
short
a heat
term.
gun. As long as you
does.
don't melt it.
It does. Yeah, it is technically plastic, so it will melt. Yep.
Oh well.
Anyway, so welcome everyone. Now that you know who we are going to talk you through how to start, begin, and execute cosplay or costumes.
Let's do a quick room sample. How many of you, and I know this is going to be a stupid question for some of you because you're in costume, but how many of you have cosplayed or made your own cosplay before? Yeah, you guys, I got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. And how many of you are interested in pursuing? I assume most of you are interested in pursuing making your own costume. Beautiful.
Learning,
Excellent.
making, helping, all that fun stuff.
And how many of you like to raise hands? Yes,
Yeah, right?
excellent.
Raise
Good.
hands is
Phew. We got it.
You get to stretch. It's good.
I know. Well, I mean, I didn't want everyone to feel left out.
Oh, of course.
And those who didn't want to raise their hand didn't have to.
Yeah, so for those late arrivals and stuff like that, I have actual sketch drawings that I brought in from my art books, including I do a lot of commissions and designs, so people who have told me this is what they want to do, I have those books as well, so if you're interested in that sort of art, after 1:30, so around 2 o'clock, I will be back at our table, which is in the leukemia and, oh my god, I feel so good all day. In that room, which is literally right next door, I will pull those out. You're more than welcome to flip through them, and I can answer any questions there.
It'll be a challenge to show those images right here because there's no projector system. You'd have to Amish zoom. It's very difficult.
I almost made a whole slideshow, and I was like, oh, there's no point.
There's no point.
There's no point to it. So for our online viewers, we'll have to do that later.
I mean, I'm a fan of
Sure.
charades. We could have acted out the panel.
All right, so
Sure.
you're going to do the charades.
So when you first get into cosplay,
Do your charades. Yeah, she lost the bit. It's fine.
she did, it's fine, it's fine. So when you first get in cosplay, best way to start is to get a concept drawing or pictures, right? So you
But
know
what if
what
you
you're going
can't
to
draw?
make. Yeah, if you can't draw,
Stick figures work very nicely.
stick figures are great.
You know what's available though? Have you?
Pictures.
I was gonna say, have you ever seen like a silhouette, like a line drawing on the internet?
Yep.
There's actually wonderful line drawings pre-rendered for you. Just if you're looking for a fashion model template
Yep.
for fashion design, you can just Google search it. There are tons of different just silhouettes of different figures posing, and then just print it and trace over it. And you do not need to know how to draw a person to draw fashion.
Not at all. In fact, for our younger crowd, they even do children's silhouettes. So you get children, adults, male and female, because as we all know, everyone has a different body type. They have silhouettes for everything. If you can't find it in the fashion design templates, you also look into costume design templates, because you get a lot of that in the theater crowd, including pre-made templates that say, here's what you want to measure in order for different parts of the body. So you have that ready to go.
There's also some really cool stuff on Pinterest. If you go on Pinterest and you type in like fashion garments, there are a ton of people out there who like to draw concepts and then just put it out into the world.
It's true.
And when I say concepts, I mean dresses, streetwear, like you name it, type it in, and you're gonna get somebody's silhouette that they want someone out there making.
Yep.
So
And the best way to promote people who do that is just make sure you give a little bit of credit so it's not stealing.
and if you message a lot of these artists, most of them are delighted
Yes.
to have you make something that they designed.
Yeah.
Because that, like, I feel like when you're doing fashion design, like, the ultimate compliment is when you make something, design something, and somebody goes, I love that, I'm making it, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe
Yes, please
Mink has
do.
done that a few times.
What? Design something that someone else has made?
Yeah.
No, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Didn't you do that with
I
one of your
did
Pokémons?
the grumpy old bastard guy, his
Oh,
Vaporeon.
yeah. That was a
I
good
messaged
one.
him and he was like, I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yay!
So that is the first step you want to do. Design, draw, get color samples, markers, color pencils, crayons, paint, whatever you like to do, or print it out, or just bookmark it if you don't want to print it out and save paper. Lots of options there. That is always like my first go-to is that.
So once you have your design though, now what? Now some of you have already started cosplaying, know that there are different things that you could do. You can go online and see if you can find your cosplay that exists in the world. If you're making an original character, you can go and find if your character is wearing brown pants. You can go find brown pants.
Yep.
But you are going to probably come across some things that you will discover you have to make. When I am about to start a costume, I too will sit down and say, here's the stuff I need to buy, here's the stuff I already own and don't have to do nothing about, yes. And then here's the stuff that I need to actually physically make or communicate to someone who knows how to make if I am not a crafter or I'm looking to have a friend help me.
Yep.
Once you have a plan for that though, we've got to talk about like, okay, where do you get the things to make the stuff?
It's true.
I definitely recommend, like, if you're a first-time sewer, try out some of the, like, basic patterns that they sell. Wait for, like, pattern sales at Joann's. They'll sell them for, like, $3.
I found them for like $1 to $2. Sometimes they'll have dollar a days for patterns. They're great.
There are two companies that really are like the companies at places like Joann's and
Simplicity?
Michael's. It's Simplicity and McCall's
McCall's.
are the
And
two
they actually
companies
do
that are.
costume
There's also
patterns.
Butterick, which is a good one, and Berta, which is hit or miss sometimes. I've actually found some measurements on Berta patterns to be off, which is surprising because that's an actual like clothing company.
My only warning is the ones that are specifically designed for cosplay. Unfortunately, a lot of the cosplay patterns are very weird shapes.
Yep.
They are usually created by cosplayers themselves and then sold to the company that is putting them out. So those patterns fit the cosplayer who made them, but not necessarily like a regular person.
Yep.
So if you find a cosplay pattern that you like, it is highly recommended that you make like what's the word?
A mock-up.
A mock-up, there we go. You make a mock-up first, make sure it fits you okay, bring it in where you can or take it out where you need to, and then make it.
Now, some fashion folks will make it out of a fabric called muslin,
Yep.
which is it's a very tightly woven cotton, natural fibers. It doesn't have any stretch to it, or minimal stretch. It has
Very little stretch.
Very little stretch. I'm thinking if you do it on the bias, but
Yeah,
bias
that's
stretch is
fine.
some other.
It's not terribly expensive either.
It's not terribly
No.
expensive, and it's usually going to be cheaper than whatever we call it the fashion fabrics, whatever your actual fabric is going to be. If you make a mistake on your muslin, your mock-up, then it doesn't feel so bad when you cut it all up and fix your mistake as it does when you're fixing a mistake on, say, silk, which is much more expensive.
But I have a question and an answer. What if
You don't want to buy muslin?
you don't want to buy muslin or you can't find muslin because every now and again, since we are still technically in a pandemic, you can't find materials?
Have you heard of these things called consignment stores?
Or,
Goodwill.
Goodwill,
And curtains
perhaps?
And sheets.
exactly, like,
That's well, yeah, that's
do-
what I'm saying.
does your parents have old sheets that they don't want to use anymore?
Maybe even
Guess-
a tarp.
Guess what sheets are made of?
Cotton.
Cotton. Mostly.
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 You'll get some people with the silk sheets, but I don't think they're donating to those
Yeah.
to Goodwill.
Any of the jersey,
don't
like
think.
stretch ones, don't do that. Do the ones that don't have a lot of stretch.
Can I actually tell you guys a secret?
Tell me one
I
secret,
want to hear a secret.
but only one.
My Assassin's Creed Leafeon, my undershirt is a sheet. Completely just a sheet.
I'm telling everyone.
Yes.
It's a silk sheet too. It's very nice.
I'm so glad this isn't being recorded for other audiences. Oh, wait.
That's okay. Now my secret's out, and you guys can take my secret
Yeah.
and
To
do
your
it.
graves.
Oh, I have last Northeast Comic Con, so last year in November,
Yes.
I wore a rainbow patchwork dress. I don't know what materials are made of that because I just use all of my scraps. So you can literally make your costume out of anything, which is fine.
The
But
only limit is your creativity.
Exactly. But that'll be our next topic. So once you have your pattern and mock-up, and you're ready to create it, if you're doing it from scratch, what do you do next?
Well, we've got to actually decide, like, okay, I'm making a pair of pants. Are they stretchy pants? Are they really thick pants? Are they thin pants? You got to think about,
Actually,
yeah.
we are all wearing pants. Would everyone stand up,
Aye.
please, just for a moment? Because I'll do some examples. All right, so
Some of you already seen my pants.
we have a nice, breathable, big, a little bit baggy pants right here,
They're
right?
called jodhpurs, and they're for riding.
All right.
Horses.
And then we also have very tight,
Stretchy.
close to the skin, stretchy pants.
Like something you could dance in.
Yep.
I mean-
Completely different materials, completely different looks, and a term is hanging. So they hang on the body differently. So, for example, Larcy, her entire stretch for the shorts and everything is made of what?
I did not make this one.
Oh.
I assume it's spandex though.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
When in doubt, things
It's
like
stretchy vinyl. It's
spandex,
got four-way stretch. So
uh,
it's
rayon.
This way
Yeah, so
and
it's
that way.
it's probably a spandex rayon mix because it's not as like spandex. Sometimes you'll see in the bodysuits
can have a
is
rubbery
smoother.
texture.
This one's a little bit more rubbery.
It's got a soft inside. though.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's probably a rayon. Spandex usually doesn't have that inner layer. It's one stretch, which is great.
I'm pretty much representing two like cosplay commissioners this weekend.
I love it. And then we have Mink is what? Cotton.
I'm wearing a combination. The major part of my pants is made out of a natural fiber called linen. And then I have cotton for my pockets.
Yep.
And something you could not see is I actually have some inserts at my calves that are made from leather.
Yes.
So garment weight leather, so it can be sewn.
Yep. So they're very different pants, very different looks. Choosing your materials is good if you have access to a fabric store. Especially now that things are opening up, it's a little bit easier to get out there. I definitely recommend just going into a fabric store, feeling and touching different materials, so you know how it is. Even like stretching it, seeing how the stretch is, That's a great way of knowing what materials you're getting. Even stuff in your closet, because we all have tags with what's on our materials that our clothing is made of. That's another one to check out. So you get a feel of what you want to do, and then you can see how you want it to hang on you.
Now, clothing is not the only thing that you might want to make. You might also want to make armor or props, and you still need to know, like, what do I use to make those? Now, I know that the temptation is to use cardboard, because that is what we were all raised on. Y'all went to school, I assume, yes?
And we all have a lot of Amazon boxes.
Right.
I had some good cardboard props back in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And then I threw them down the stairs and they exploded.
But what happens, right? Cardboard's not durable. Sometimes the hot glue falls off of it. You leave it in a car. All that stuff happens.
Or
So,
somebody walks into it and crumples it. There's that.
which does happen.
So hard.
That also has happened to me.
So there are some materials that you can use, and I strongly recommend using as an alternative to cardboard to make cool armor or cool props. And that would be something called EVA foam. Now, EV and A stand for the chemical composition of the foam, but I don't know what the chemical composition of the foam is. I'm an expert in many things. Chemistry is not among them.
Also, who's going to remember that?
Right, no one cares. EVA.
All we know is that it's squishy foam and it's easily molded with a heat gun.
Yeah, it's very similar to floor mats. You see those foam floor mats? Just a thinner one of those, sometimes a little bit thicker.
Trade secret, truck mats. I use truck mats.
Most craft companies these days are selling EVA foam in various thicknesses
And sizes.
and sizes, because you might want to use very thick foam to make a prop sword, but you might want to use thinner foam to make some close-fitting armor, like a corset. Yeah, we got some gestures
this
back
guy.
there. Do you know what the millimeter foam on your headpiece is?
I think this is 4.
4 mil? Yeah, I would have guessed 4 or 5 millimeter.
And 4 or 5 is the typical like cosplay size that they sell in big rolls.
2 millimeter foam? I know, it's weird talking about millimeters when we use an imperial system instead of the metric system. 2 millimeter foam is the very thin foam that you would find at an elementary school when you're making crafts.
It's the craft foam in the Walmart
It's the
aisle.
craft
All the
foam
colors.
in the Walmart aisles. Don't sleep on that foam though. That stuff is great for adding details to your elaborate armor or props. I can't tell you, because I can cut them with a pair of scissors.
Yep.
It's real easy to make elaborate things.
You
Or
can
if you've
also-
got a Cricut, the cutter,
Yep.
you can make cool cuts with those, very elaborate.
Oh yeah, and you can also stack them and glue them for thicker foam.
Absolutely.
It's weird. It's like you could make it thicker with more foam.
I do not
And also
use
heat guns really well.
Oh, heat guns are great.
I do not use hot glue to join them. Those of you who are hot glue fiends, I prefer to use a contact cement to join my pieces of foam. Contact cement is different from most glues. Instead of just putting a layer and sticking it to the other object, you have to put a layer of contact cement on both pieces, wait for it to dry a bit, and then you can join them.
It's like rubber cement.
And some like
Not
cheaper,
everyone uses rubber cement.
I know.
I would say cheaper alternatives, rubber cement is about half the price. It's a little bit thicker and a little bit weirder to work with, but you can actually shape it too. Surprisingly, if you shape it on top of your armor, you can actually use it as like a garnish.
Now, you all mentioned,
Oh, wait,
speaking of
hold on.
shaping, yeah?
Hold on.
Oh,
And if you do like hot glue, a fun way of doing it with foam, because I've done it for LARP costuming and it works, and that's a lot of beat up stuff. So if you take a X-Acto knife or anything with a nice sharp edge and you score it on both the foam sides of what needs to be done and you hot glue it, I like doing a nice extra thing with straps, if you're doing like the straps to like hold it on. You score it up, you put the hot glue on, and then I reseal it on top of it so it gets like an extra layer. So you get like about a layer about this thick of just hot glue, extra, extra, extra on top. It works fine.
yeah, if you score the inside of the EVA, it gives you more
Yep.
surface area for
Yep.
binding the glue, so you're less likely to have it come apart. Because hot glue, unfortunately, if your body heat and you're out in the sun, will let go.
Yes.
So the
It'll
biggest
remelt.
faux pas with a hot glue
Yeah.
outfit is that if you're wearing it in the summer or in a warm area or against your body,
Yes.
it's probably going to let go, and that's not your fault. It's the way the glue is made.
Yep, it just remelts, but if you are a sucker for hot glue and you really like it, that is an easy, quick way of doing it, because, oh yeah. Oh, go for it.
So would you start with like a pattern, sort of cut the pattern out of the foam sheets?
I always
Yeah.
start with paper, like, and I'll
Paper's
even
great.
just take pieces of computer paper
Yeah.
and tape them together.
If you take paper and you literally cut out whatever shape you want, and then you reform it, just a little bit of
Tape.
what's the tape? It's not
Blue
Scotch tape. Yeah,
Painter's
any of the
tape.
blue tape, painter's tape, the white tape.
So like a 3D form?
Yeah, make like a 3D form of paper, shape it out. Paper's really durable, so as long as you get the shape right.
Oh,
it's
but I'm
hold it,
gonna tell them something that's gonna blow your mind.
right?
Fastest way to make a pattern, using stuff that you get at a hardware store / grocery store.
Paper bags.
Oh, even weirder.
Yeah.
You take your person that you want a pattern of, and you keep them fresh using a plastic wrap. I'm not going to say saran wrap because that's a brand. I'm not going to say that's a brand. You take them, you wrap them in plastic wrap to make them stay fresh. Then what you do is you take strips of duct tape and you duct tape. So if I wanted to make like a shirt, a really close-fitting shirt, and I didn't want to have to deal with the pattern, I'm going to start with plastic wrap, wrap my torso in it, then start duct taping around. This is where it's helpful to have a partner, because then with a marker, Sharpie, I will then go in and draw what I want it to look like on my physical form, on my 3D body. Carefully with a pair of scissors, cut yourself out, and then in order to take that duct tape mass and turn it into a pattern, you're basically going to cut lines, like you're just going to cut, I always do vertical lines, so that the duct tape no longer has any curvature to it, so that everything can lay down flat. If I'm being really lazy, I will just immediately trace those pieces onto the fabric and cut, so then that's my pattern. If I'm being good, I'll even take like brown paper bags that I've gotten at the grocery store and use those to make a paper template, because then I've got something nice and thick that I already spent my 10 cents on, so it's not doing anything in my house other than taking up space.
Yeah.
I use that for pattern stuff all of the time, especially props.
When I went to fashion school, we literally had to use a brown paper, which is the same consistency
Butcher
as a brown
paper.
paper bag, to do a lot of our mock-ups after we did our hard copies on like thick cardstock. So we did on brown paper, so we could do a mock-up of how it should shape and fit on someone. And then we could do our pattern out of muslin, and then we could cut out a fashion fabric. It just saves you steps. But yeah, no, any brown paper bag will be the same consistency, shape. You just cut it up, make it flat, like paper.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't just have to be a body that you do this to.
Nope.
Because
You can do it to anything.
You can do it to anything. I've done it to
You
hats.
can make a can.
You can do it to the can. You can, if you want to make something from scratch, you can get tin foil.
Yep.
Build your prop or design out of tin foil because it's cheap and it's easy to crumple up and make lots of shapes from. And then you can use that duct tape model, the plastic wrap and duct tape strategy to make all kinds of things. I know I've done things on the small scale with, like to make a crazy hat. I've made a small scale version of it, did the plastic wrap and duct tape method, and then I just scaled it up on my computer.
Yep.
Like however much percent, like 200% bigger. Great! Now it's mine.
And like the key takeaway from doing the duct tape wrapping method is when you cut the pattern off, you want to make sure that it's flat. So you do need to cut those little darts, like to make it lay flat. And then when you cut out the pattern, make sure you include that, because when you sew it together or glue it together, it will put that shape back in it. I've made the mistake before of not laying it flat and then just tracing it and then being like, well, that doesn't fit. What a waste.
Yep, and darts are just an easy way of helping curve your pattern. So you cut the slice, you'll have some space to it, and that's literally because you're going to put it together, stitch it to hold it together. You'll see it in vests, in your something like bodice, right?
Corsets.
Yeah, corsets, bodices, vests, nice dress shirts will have it.
And those are those little seams that go up the middle.
Yep.
Like your normal t-shirt has no seams, but a fitted garment that has darts in it will have seams. on the curved parts of your body to make it fit better.
It's like the
And that's
difference
what that
between
is.
like a prom dress and a t-shirt. Prom
Yeah.
dress is going to have the curves, the darts, and all of that in
Yeah,
it.
because it's going to keep your body shape when it's off of you versus when it's not on you.
And
Or, yeah, when it's on you.
you know, if you don't want to go through all that hassle, there are patterns out there. Some are free, some are not. They're very inexpensive. There are a lot of like professional cosplayers out there who release their basic armor patterns for like $5 for like a little book.
Oh, yeah.
And you can customize those, cut them big, shape them into what you want, add to them. Like, it's just the basic. They made it so that you cut the shape and you add to it, do whatever you want with it.
And I want to say most of them, if you message them and say, hey, I'm looking for this size, they'll be like, oh, yeah, I got that.
They also have instructions for a lot of the things that
Yeah.
they sell, the digital booklets, on how to resize it to you,
Yep.
just using your computer settings when you print it.
Yep.
And some of them even go as far as to do the percentages per like basic size. Like a small would be like 105%, a medium 150, a large 200. Like
For some
I'm
random,
just
not
throwing
specific
names.
examples.
I'm throwing numbers out there, but
Yep. I love using pre-made patterns. They're just really easy, and usually once you get one or two costumes and stuff done, you can just cut up what you already have to make whatever you want. Because most clothing, with the exception of a few things, it's the same thing, just slightly different.
And like to name a few names of like ones that I really like to use, I use patterns from Kamui Cosplay, Kimpatsu, and Evil Ted.
Nice.
They all make really great basic patterns and they outline how to resize them, as well as they're very user friendly.
Yes.
They're very well marked. They're like side A goes to side B, make sure you do this.
Yep.
So they try to make it as user friendly as possible because they're geared towards people who are new to cosplay.
Yep. And they
So-
always like, there's notches, triangles that match up.
They don't want to scare you
All that
away
stuff.
from trying.
No.
Kamui is Kamui. She tends to do more armor patterns, and she's got a wonderful couple books out that are very worthwhile.
She's from Germany.
Tends to do more work for femme presenting silhouettes. Kinpatsu, similarly, also with a K, does more femme presenting silhouettes, whereas Evil Ted does more masculine presenting silhouettes. So you'll be able to kind of piecemeal between the three
Can I-
lot of great
Can
stuff.
I also point out, though, that Kamui has released a pattern book for male counterparts?
Nice.
Yes.
Because her and her spouse do
Benny.
big builds.
Nice.
Benny.
Everybody loves Benny.
Everybody loves Benny.
Love it. So, you have gotten your materials, you have made your patterns, you have cut out your piece and started to put it together. What is next?
What's your vision?
What's your
Well,
vision?
when we make, or at least Mink and I make original designs, typically we assign some sort of job to help
Yes.
define the direction that our character goes in. I recently, over the course of 2020, when nobody was out and about, I decided to stay creative and I made 4 different looks per season. And like I assigned mythical creatures as well as like, what are they? Are they a queen, a princess? Are they like some peasant? I mean,
Yeah, the sort of background and story of your
yeah, I
character.
like kind of like just gave like a basic story so that when I was putting pieces together, because I didn't necessarily have a vision on paper, I just kind of made things that I thought were nice, put them together, and went, oh, yeah, I really like that. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, add some more over the top. Hey, this looks like a fairy princess. I guess that's what I am. And that was just me kind of ad-libbing it, but like when you're still on paper and you have like an idea or a concept, jobs help.
Yes.
Like a belly dancer. So then there's your silhouette.
It makes it easier to also shop accessories if that's something you're into, like being like, where do I want to go with this?
Yep.
But once your costume's completed, now what? Now we're back to conventions so we can enjoy sharing and participating at conventions. So many of you have come and seen lots of people showing off their cosplays for the first time since they've, been, we're going to call it hibernating, since they've been hibernating.
Yeah.
what should you do to make sure that your costume stays at its nicest? What do you do to keep your costumes fresh and beautiful for the con?
So, before cons, in order to make sure you can preserve the life of your costume, you want to make sure it's put away nicely. Your wig, if you're doing a wig cap, usually you get a styrofoam head. You make sure that can be stored. If you're not able to have the space for a styrofoam head, you want to make sure it's packed away nicely in plastic so it doesn't get all tangled with other stuff.
You can even use a Ziploc bag.
Yep, Ziploc bags are great. Usually a wig will come with a bag and a net that goes nicely over top of it. I always lose the nets. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll literally just twist it inside out or fold it really nicely and slip it right to the plastic bag.
I actually have, I'm a little bit thrifty. I have a few styled wigs that I cannot put back into bags, nor can I store on wig heads because I don't have space. So I went out and bought some of those like plastic sticky hooks, and behind the door where I keep most of my stuff is I have hanging wigs, and their spikes are fully intact, they're not squished or anything. I also, on the other side of this door, hung a shoe holder, like the things that you put your shoes down in, and I put bits of 2x4s and pinned them in, and then I hang the wigs off of the 2x4s.
Oh, that's smart. I like that.
I mean, you can come up with some pretty interesting ways to keep them off the floor and out of storage.
Tops of closets are really nice because then you can shut the door.
Coat hooks.
Coat hooks.
When I have
a
big
couple over the
costume
door.
builds, I will usually purchase a tote from it doesn't matter where, like the Container Store, I'll just get a plastic tote because I like to store things in my basement, which sometimes floods because we're in New England. I do not need to explain more. So when I'm worried about making sure that my costume stays nice and fresh, I'll make sure that I get a tote for that costume, and I will store everything in there. I will store the shoes I was wearing, the wig, the costume,
Socks.
Everything. I'll store a fresh pair of socks so that the next time I go to a convention and I want to wear that costume, everything I need is in that tote. And if you're traveling somewhere, that becomes especially helpful because everything you need is in that tote. I have not worn this costume in a number of years.
It's been a while.
It has been, I believe it's been 4 years since I've worn this costume.
So you definitely pulled that out of the closet.
No, this was in my basement. This was in my basement.
Was it?
It was in my basement. I woke up at 4:30. You were very much asleep.
I guess I was.
Because I was like, wait, which tote is it in? So I went down to my basement. I found the tote. I pulled it out, and everything I needed. I didn't have to worry. I was like, wait, are the gloves in? Yep, the gloves are there. Wait, are the boots? Yep, the boots are there. Is my hair clip? Yep, the hair clip is there.
Yep.
Everything you need. It's like one of those set it and forget it things. Future you will thank you.
Also, if you don't have space for a tote, my favorite is the garment bags. If you have a cosplay that kind of expands outwards, the garment bags actually
You
help
squish 'em in.
compress them right down into a little wheat, and they fit right to the back of your closet. You can buy them in packs of 2 on Amazon for like $20, and it is worth the investment.
But I have something that is very cheap for if you need to squish down some fabric. Say you've got an elaborate petticoat or something. I don't know. Say you're wearing a ball gown or some random thing, and you want all the petticoat to squish down because you just don't have the space for it. Yeah, I could get a vacuum sealed bag, but that means I have to pull out the vacuum every time. So, and I don't like to brand, but the Glad family of products, specifically the Force Flex trash bag, and I know this is bad, you have to label it so you don't actually accidentally throw out your stuff. But the Force Flex bags, when you squish stuff in, it lets the air out, but the air don't come back in.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
nice.
you
Isn't that how a vacuum
use, you don't have, yes, this is how a vacuum works, but I don't need a vacuum. Or God forbid, I'm traveling to a convention and I need to pack up my hotel stuff. I don't have the hotel vacuum. I'm not going to be like, hey, room service, can I borrow your vacuum? That would be very uncomfortable for me. I have enough social anxiety than asking someone to go above and beyond the call of duty just so I can contain my stuff. So I instead go the trash route. I'm part raccoon. I will go the trash route. I put petticoats in a trash bag, sat on it, oh, it was gleeful sitting on it, just compressing it into a very dense brick that fits oh so nicely into my suitcase.
I use tote bags. They're easy. It's all in one.
So
Go
we
in
have
the
about
closet.
5 minutes before we have to scoot for the costume contest.
We do.
This is probably a good time to take a wrap up and see if there's any questions that you guys have before we've got to scoot.
Yes. Yes.
The EVA foam, is there a combination of different colors that you can get painted?
Ooh, okay, so the question for those who can't hear is about EVA foam and colors versus painting them. And I think most of us, so Larcy and I do a lot of EVA foam work, and we almost always paint rather than getting, you can buy it in different colors.
You're going to want to paint
You're
it.
going to want to paint
You're
it.
not going to like the colors that it comes in, and you're not going to like how it looks when it's like not weathered.
Because you also want to make sure the seams and everything.
Let me put
are
it this way, they come in
Sure.
elementary school colors,
Very bright.
right? So there's
I
not
mean,
a lot
you
of
like
toning.
cherry red.
Maybe you like foam cherry red.
So you
Maybe.
start with a light, is there a specific
So what we do first is we heat seal the EVA foam. So we'll take something that's got heat. We usually use heat guns, which you can get at Home Depot. The actual intended purpose is to strip paint, but we use it to seal. What it does is it takes the pores of the EVA foam and shrinks them closed a little bit.
It
That-
gives it like a smooth texture, so when you're painting it, your paint doesn't go down into the pores, it stays on
Yeah,
top.
otherwise you're painting layer after layer after layer after
Right.
layer.
We also use various primer methods. In the past, I've used products like Flex Bond, which I highly recommend. Flex Bond is great for smaller products because you do have to brush it on.
Gesso.
Gesso I've used
Gesso's
before.
great.
That's like an acrylic paint, but it's
Yep, that's usually used to prime canvases.
Yes.
Because it
Gives you
fills
a
in
nice-
all of the holes and gives you a nice flat surface.
It's great for things that you don't expect to have any movement to. So if you're making like a giant prop hammer, well, the hammer's not going to need to flex at all. The other thing, what's the
plasti dip.
Plasti dip?
I
There's
plasti dip all my props because it's just too much gesso to like
Yeah.
cover a giant sword.
Just have to
Plasti
be
dip is a
expensive.
rubber coating that you can buy either as a brush-on or as a spray. Most cosplayers will get it as the spray. You're going to want to spray it about 12 inches away from the product, and you want to do many coats rather than really dip it, because if you really layer on the Plasti dip, it's going to come out looking really drippy. And maybe you want a drippy texture, but I think most people are looking for a nice, smooth, flat, even texture. So you will do roughly 3 or 4 coats of Plasti dip. It takes 20 minutes to dry between coats, so it's not a huge deal. But once you have that base prime, then you can go in with, a lot of people use acrylics. That's most people's most common thing to use. I will use a combination of spray paint so I can get solid coverage of a color, and then I'll go in and do some texture work or shading using acrylic paint. And I finally seal it with a spray paint enamel spray.
And if you're on a budget and you like can't afford to buy a lot of Plasti dip or like the like, I've actually gotten a big tub of wood glue, and it not only fills in like cracks and crevices, it also gives you a nice hardened shell layer. And if you put enough layers on it, you can actually sand it down really well.
Well,
And
wood
then-
glue is the OG thing. That's what we
Yeah,
all
I
used
made
to
a
use
giant
before they came
sword
out with
with
better
four
products.
plastic glue.
4 layers of wood glue, and it is solid. You can knock on it, it sounds like wood.
Put a little bit of food coloring in your wood glue. This is my little hack to you. Put a little bit of food coloring in your wood glue. That way, when you go to paint over it, wood glue usually comes out as this, wood color, you know,
It's got a
basically
little bit of
tan.
an amber tint
Yeah,
to it.
it looks the color of the table.
Wood, yeah.
And when it dries clear. Sometimes it's really hard to see what parts you've covered and what parts you haven't, but if you put a little bit of food coloring in, you'll be able to tell what parts you've painted already, so you're not retreading or, heaven help, forgetting to paint something.
And it helps too that it's mostly waterproof versus if you were to use Elmer's glue, that stuff will come off.
Oh, Elmer's
Yes.
glue is definitely,
Because it is.
it's washable for a
solvent.
reason.
Yep. Wood glue is solid.
That's true.
Can confirm.
All right, I believe it is, we are officially at our witching hour. Now, Tree is going to be judging the costume contest over at the main stage, which is happening in like 1:30,
Now,
which is
yeah.
now. So we're going to quickly excuse her, and I'm going to let everyone know that they can. Larcy and I will be right next door at the room for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. If any of you continue to have questions or just want to chat us up about cosplay in general, we'll still be in that room. Tree will come back, so she'll be able to show any of you who are interested in seeing the sketches that she had earlier. And if you're interested in seeing the cosplay contest, it's right down over there. I hope everyone has a wonderful time. Thank you guys so much for coming to the panel.